Hi, folks. This is Louis LeBoy with Breaking the Silence. Once again, we're here with a new episode. We're here. We want to thank you. We want to thank you for subscribing to our page, liking your comments, commenting on our page. We're here to motivate you. We're here to inspire you. We're here to tell you our story. We're here to use our own voices to shatter our own silences because we all have gone through something, right? We have all gone through have gone through something where we can inspire others and motivate others uh, with our own journeys, with our own odyssey, right? So we're here. We have a great guest today. We have a great guest, and I appreciate the guest. I've known the guest for a couple of years now, and we know that he has a great story, and we're here to know who he is, right? We're here to get to know him. Uh, once again, thank you for coming in, and thank you for watching us. This is Breaking Your Silence with Louis LeBoy. And our guest today is none other than Alan
Hello.
Compass.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend. Cheers,
How's it
cheers. I
going?
hope all is well with you. I appreciate you coming on.
Good.
I thank you.
Happy to be here.
I appreciate it. Really do. We're here, right? Like I stated, we're here on Breaking the Silence, where we use our own voices to shatter our silences, right? And we're here to inspire others. We're here to motivate others, not just only to get to know who we are, right? To get to know who we are, but also know our story, know our motivation, know our journey. I've been using the word odyssey as of late. We know why though, but because it reflects on my own passage. It reflects on my own journey and how we've gotten to where we've at, right, and where we at now. So I want to appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. I know it's a different setting, but I appreciate coming on,
No,
right? And because I usually do this in person, but it's okay. I appreciate you and I thank you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, Alan Compass.
thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Tell me, present yourself. I know I already said your name, but tell me who you are, and so we can proceed, right, moving forward.
My name's Alan. I, I just overall, I mean, pro wrestler. I love to have fun. I love to spread positivity. I mostly because I want to spread positivity and happiness because I know far too well how being sad and depressed can affect people. People see Alan Company, and I'm sure they don't think, "Oh, wow, that guy's depressed." No,
Hmm.
gone through a lot of crazy stuff, and so I felt like this was a really good show to kind of talk about a little bit of it and tell people where I came from. From the beginnings, and go from there, and why I am who I am. So.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you once again. So I know we started a little bit, but so let me know, where did Alan Compass come from? I know, don't I obviously know we came from my mothers, and
Yeah.
but I know that. But what brought Alan, and who is Alan from, like, all
So
through your infancy and all that?
so so Alan is actually my middle name, but people have been calling me Alan for as long as I can remember now. Um, Randy Allen. There you go. There we have it.
Okay.
Um, Randy Allen, but everyone calls me Alan. And then when I got into professional wrestling, I took on the last name Compass. I just liked it. I don't really. I went through a lot of ideas in my head, and that's what I liked. I grew up. I had a. I actually, it was the street I lived on. It was Compass Lane back at the time. So I was like, Alan Compass. That sounds cool. Um, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding any of the question. What I'll dive deeper. I'm not the best. So where am I
Okay.
diving into with this?
No, tell me about your
Um,
like your childhood, where you grew up in your childhood. How was your childhood? Um, how was your childhood? We'll start from the childhood and then we proceed moving
yeah.
forward. So tell me, how
So
was little Alan?
overall, good. The beginning, not so much. When I was up to the age of 3, I lived with my mom. And I have a brother and a sister, and we lived in Florida. And my sister's father was super abusive, but just towards me. So by the age of 3, my grandparents came and they took me out of that situation because, I mean, I would take the brunt of everything, being the oldest child, sticking up for the younger ones. I mean, and 3 isn't old at all, you know. So um, through most of my life, almost till my 20s, I would tell you 100% with all honesty that I was okay because I believed it. But randomly throughout, it would be totally random. I would just have night terrors because I was
Mm-hmm.
abused. You know, I had shit kicked out of me at times. I was locked in dog crates at times. So up until the age of 3, I guess sucks from everything that I can remember. But you can't remember. I mean, I got taken in by my grandparents, who cannot be more thankful. They raised me. They became my mom and dad to me. Um, and life has been good. I mean, they've a little more strict. They're old fashioned, so I think that worked out the best for me because I've seen how some of my peers have turned out. So I'm very appreciative of them. My grandmother, who is my mom now, she probably is not the one who's like, oh yeah, be a pro wrestler. She wants you to have the more realistic job, and my grandfather really was the one who would say, no, do whatever makes you happy. And so my whole life I've kind of lived like, since then, like when I was in music, he was the first person I'd ever show a new song to. When I had an idea, you know, I had 3 crazy ideas growing up. I said, I'm going to be a pro wrestler, I'm going to do something with music, and I'm going to be on Ninja Warrior. All crazy, but I did all of them. And before he passed away, I said, listen, I'm going to do this. Because, yeah, other people believed, but no one believed like he did. Like, he was just like, you got to have fun. That's the number one thing in life. And since I started taking that approach, like, times are bad. I lost my house. You know, I had my own house for 11 years almost. Things got bad with COVID. I lost my job. I wasn't getting the income. I said we have to sell it if we're gonna make it. So I'm living with my mom again now. Um, but even when things are bad and it drives my wife crazy, uh, I turn things into like as fun as I can, or try and just push it off. I'm like, oh, and the bridge will burn a little bit, and I'll try and deal with it the best I can until I don't have a choice. And then it sucks for a while, and then I get happy again. Look, you got to have as much fun as you can and enjoy the things you're doing. Otherwise, you're gonna go crazy.
Yeah, it's always good to have that positive mindset. I've always stated that there's always a negative within a positive, right? And it's always really good to look at it as that positive mindset. But I brought up a question. Brought up a question. How was important? How was important for you to have family members that actually believed in you, like you stated, your grandfather? How important was that to you?
It's very important because know I don't know what I'd do if everyone just said no. That's not realistic, or no, we're not going to help you achieve that. Because I mean, you can't do everything on your own. I mean, I don't know the avenues to go out and try and do this or that. It's without someone believing in you. It's probably maybe not impossible, but a heck of a lot harder. And I like to just everything's a glass half full. That's the way I look at everything now.
No, it's important to have at least have that one person to believe in you, because we all have, even myself, we all had that crazy ideas, right, when we were little, even growing up, and even now. When I first started BCW, right, my wife was the first one to tell me, "You're crazy as hell. Like, what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm doing it. I'm doing the reason why we've done BCW was not just it was for the talent, but it was mostly for the ones that have left, right? The beginnings, our origins, in regards to how we created BCWs for those guys that were with us at that point, including my son. But it was like my wife was the first one to tell you, like, what the hell are you doing? You're crazy as hell. But hey, she believed in me. You see her, you saw her, she sees
Yeah.
at the shows, and we always have that person. So it's always important to have that support, right? It's always important to have that support in our lives, and I'm glad to hear that you do have the support. You had the support, even though from what you told me, your childhood wasn't easy at all. You didn't have that stability.
I'd say, while the two people who believed in me in the most in anything I wanted to do, they've both passed away. They were my dad and my uncle. My uncle's actually the one who got me into pro wrestling when I was a kid, because my parents both worked like night shifts for a while, so I would stay over there at night. And my uncle only saw one wrestling match ever live, and then I would send him everything that I did. And one day I sent him a match. It was me versus Bloodsaw, and it ended up winning match of the year. So I was pumped. I showed it to him, and the last conversation we ever had, he told me he was proud of me, and I was pumped, and I was like, cool, he's going to come out. He's going to get to see me soon. And then he had just gotten a clean bill of health earlier that day, and then something happened. It just, they were wrong. And so the two people who believed in me the most are gone. So I push now, and there's a lot of goals that I still have and I want to accomplish with them in the back of my mind. But it's hard knowing that everything I go forward, that they're not gonna be there to see it. My mom, who would love to see me do something else, who was very against this. Not so much like, just she doesn't want to see me get hurt. She doesn't want. I got two kids. I don't have a lot of money. We're doing what we can just to get by, and we don't have a lot. So it's, but I try and do everything I can for my family, and then I'm glad. But she's come around to the point where she's like, she sees it makes me happy, and she sees that I do what I can for my family, and you got to have that something. So now I got her, and I know that every time I'm in the ring, she watches with like, oh my God, why does this make him happy? But
and I get you.
I got her.
I definitely get you, because
yeah.
Have you been to I know you've been to our shows. Obviously, participating wrestled in our shows, and there's this one older lady that's always there, and she gets emphatic with all the wrestlers, right? And she absolutely adores y'all guys, and she's arguing with her, which is my mother-in-law. She's the old lady in the corner screaming at everybody, telling not to hurt nobody, and she'll pull out she try to. Once, I guess, I don't know where it was, but she tried putting up a belt and try to whip somebody too. But it's that joy, like you said, they'll get around little by little. They'll get around, right? And even like with my wife, it's 3 years now, right? And there's moments that she still calls me crazy, but it's 3 years now where she supported us.
Yeah.
And it's important to have that, and like it's important to have that support. And little by little, they'll turn around. They'll come around. But like I stated, since I've known you, like you said in the beginning, right? You've had that positive mindset where people don't really know what you're going through, because that's not part of your gimmick. That's not part of who you are, right? And it must be tough. It must be tough thinking about all this stuff. And then even when you're behind that curtain, right? When you're behind that curtain, you come out of that curtain, what is the first thing that is like? I know we've jumped a lot. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we haven't spoken about, but it's more organic for me. It's more. I know you said that your uncle, right? I regress. Your uncle was the one that told you about and one that showed you about like pro wrestling, right? And when you told him that you were becoming a wrestler, what did he say to you?
He was pumped. There was no that's crazy at all. He was like, he was excited. He wanted to see what I would do. He believed that I would do a great job. And I want to touch on it real quick before I forget about it, because sometimes my mind's like, "Whoa."
It's okay.
But while they were the two main forces behind like me just believing and doing whatever, I do want people and the fans to know that it's them. Like, my love of wrestling was, wow, I really enjoy wrestling, but a couple months into it, I had a fan tell me that I was their hero, and that blew my mind. And we deal with a lot of special needs kids. We deal with a lot of people who this is larger than life to what we do. They come out and they see us, and we're like superheroes to them. I don't do this every day anymore, like because wow, I love wrestling, and I do. I like to tell a story. I do this more now because it makes them so happy to see me do this. Like because I know what it's like to feel shitty and have a bad day too many times. And some of these people, they're coming out there and they're only having a good day while they're there, you know. And so they're coming to see you make them feel better, and that's why I do this more than anything. So when I go through that curtain from now on, any goal that I want to achieve, any belt that I win, like we did it together. The fans have really come behind me, and I that means the world to me. No.
Other than your uncle, right? How did you get into wrestling? I know this is way back, like way later in life. But how did you get into wrestling? Other than your uncle, how do you do you just show up at the wrestling school? How it happened? How did you
So
move into
I
that part of life?
a little bit before that happened. I feel like it only makes sense if I tell you this one part beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I'd be able to do wrestling because I got really sick. I had an infection get to my heart, and I almost died.
Oh wow!
They had to do an emergency angioplasty. Um, it wasn't good, and I went through some years where this was during my Ninja Warrior time. I was working out like crazy. After all this happened, I couldn't work out anymore. Like anything I tried to do physically, it killed me. Like I lost everything that I had, like physically, that I could do. I would just fatigue instantly. So I never thought I'd be able to do this. I thought this was going to be the one thing I couldn't accomplish. Um, I was at work, and a coworker had said that her son wanted to get into pro wrestling. And I remembered that I knew somebody, it was my friend's wife, who used to do stuff in the scene, I guess on the independents. So I said, hey, I know someone, let me reach out for you. See if they can give you any information. Um, just trying to help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, yeah, why don't you reach out to this person? And funny, the person that I reached out to is the person who just called my phone and interrupted when we tried to originally start the podcast. But I reached out to this person not knowing who they were and was like, hey, she told me to reach out to you as far as wrestling. I didn't know if you're still doing anything. You know where I could go start or train? And I was asking for this other person, not even for me. And they gave me the information. They told me about Test of Strength and Paradise Alley were the two places they knew about. So I told them. I just happened to be talking to my wife, and my wife was like, you should go too. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to. And she goes, you're going to kick yourself one day if you look back and be like, I never even tried. So I said, okay. I went down to Slicks, and a couple practices went by, and I was like, I feel okay. I feel okay. I can do this. Because I had stopped trying to do anything with weights or running or stamina after what had happened. So, and it just worked out. A week went by, a couple months went by, and I was feeling good. I was getting back in shape, and I was like, crap, I'm so happy I took this chance because I don't know. I want to be here. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd be doing. So that's how I ended up finding wrestling and where to go. And I started over at Test.
So you said you mentioned a couple of things prior to this, musician, right? And you also mentioned Ninja Warrior. How was that experience? we'll talk about music soon. But how was that experience getting into Ninja Warrior, and tell me about that. How was that for you?
Ninja Warrior was great. There are a million rules they don't tell you,
I kind
so
of
it's
figured.
harder than it looks because they don't tell you everything until you're there. I can honestly tell you that I have completed every course or obstacle that they have, but when you have to do them one after another, it's the fatigue, and it doesn't matter how strong you are. It's like grip strength is number one. That's the number one thing. Um, so mine's going blank. So like with Ninja Warrior, we got there and I had trained with a bunch of the guys. One of the biggest names, Lou, the weatherman kid, I forget his name now. It's been some years. Um, I'm the one who taught him to get up the warp wall, and he's been doing great. But it's just like wrestling; it's like another family. But when you get there, when you're live, you're about to run. They go, "Oh yeah, by the way, guys, to get you all pumped, whoever gets through this the fastest, they win quite a large sum of money too. So now people are rushing through this course and they're making mistakes or they're blown up by the time they get to that stupid salmon ladder thing, which is the bane of my existence. But I've done it. And also when they're like 4 weeks ago when we were here last, that is a load of BS. It was 24 hours ago. We've all been outside under a small gazebo in the pouring rain. It was not 20. It was not 4 weeks ago. We're tired and cold and wet, and now we're going to run the second half of this course. So it's a lot of things. You're also not allowed to wait between obstacles more than like 10 seconds. You can get disqualified. They want you to go. So there's, I get they have TV restrictions and times. They also air it in the summer, but they record it. It's around this time. It's freezing out. No.
And then falling in that water must not feel so good then.
Oh yeah, exactly.
No, that's actually really interesting in that part because I know how hard they had to work. Working on the fatigue, and I'm assuming that's helped you a lot in the ring itself because of the cardio that you had to do and all that, and it had to be a great part of your life. Is it?
I definitely have a lot more cardio than I do strength, and that's what I'm working on now. Bloodsaw, who used to be an arch rival of mine, we have formed this great friendship, and but he makes me work out more than I want to, so
So kayfabe doesn't exist.
He's like, you got stamina, you need more strength.
No, I hear you, and it's but like I said, it's always good to have that person next to you, have that support, and from what I gather, he's a great person, he's a great human being.
Yep.
He's been a couple of our shows as well, and he's been a fan favorite for us at our shows and whatnot. And but he's a great person, and I appreciate him as well. So you had said prior that you lived in Florida for a while. Then you moved up to obviously you moved to Connecticut or wherever you move at now. I don't know what's the process in between there, but talk to me. I did see the video once. You playing guitar. I saw the video. I think it was at a mini concert or something. You're great. You're awesome.
We have a blast. We were all so I started doing stuff with music during the stretch of time when I didn't think I'd be able to do. It was right after Ninja Warrior. Growing up in high school, I played around with the guitar, but I played every instrument. It was during the time after Ninja Warrior. I couldn't really do anything physical or anything crazy. It took off. I met a great set of guys, and we all had different influences. We played with some amazing bands, most of which I didn't know before we got there. They were all super excited. They're like, yeah, we're playing with Hawthorne Heights. I'm like, I don't know who that is. I felt like, but we went and we rocked it, and we played with, we did the Good Charlotte. I know they were. We played with, we played at the Casino, Mohegan Sun, or Foxwoods. With Foxwoods, we did some huge venues, Hard Rock cafes. We went on some awesome tours down the East Coast, met amazing people. Right before I took the journey into wrestling was when we got the biggest, and I feel bad, but it's like I wasn't gonna train. I think a lot of things just fell into place where it was like this was the right transition. um, our guitarist was moving, because for an opportunity that was just better for him in life, and those things happen. And I was like, Tim, I don't want to train another guitarist like to learn all the songs. We have so many. And I was like, I got this thing I want to try. I got to see if I can do it. We got offered to fly out to California to meet the guy who found and signed Korn. So it was big.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I was just like, we were offered a world tour to go up to, like Europe, and two other places I don't remember. But we had fun. We had songs out there that I can genuinely say are like, well, they're really good. And then we have stuff that's just silly because that's me. We'd write silly stuff. But we'd always put like one or two silly things on the most serious album because that's how people knew who we were. I was a clown up there.
Definitely.
Music was a blast.
Music is a blast.
And the same. Yeah.
Music is a blast because we have that in common. I'm a guitarist. I'm a musician as well. I haven't touched the guitar for a long time until recently. When I saw my guitar, I was like, oh, she needs some loving. So I picked her up and started cleaning her up and did that. But it feels good, having that outlet as well. And knowing as far as you went with that outlet. How do you know it was always been a passion of yours, right? The music?
What's that? I
misunderstood. The music was always been a passion for you, right?
For somewhat, like I think most kids will connect to like a song, or they'll listen to it. Like me, I just listen to like the same song on repeat while I was rapping Christmas gifts. You have like a song or a band that stands out to you. It just makes you feel good, and I was able to do that for other people too. I go out there and I'd have fun, and because I wrote all the songs. I was the singer, I was one of the two guitarists, and I tried to think of other people when I wrote too. Like someone might tell me like a bad situation they went through, and then I'd kind of write around that and try and think of unique ideas when I wrote. One of the songs on the newest album, I wrote through the eye. When I was writing it, I wrote it as if I was writing it through the eyes of Peter Pan, who had lost Wendy. So like, and that's the name of the song. The song's called Wendy, and it's like beautiful, beautiful song. And I try to find a unique, different perspective when writing, so everything's not all the same. One of my favorite songs is called "On Top of the World." And it sounds nothing like Simple Plan, but Simple Plan was the influence in the song because the hook in the chorus is she makes me feel like every Simple Plan song I've ever heard. And then right into the second verse is entirely made up of just Simple Plan song titles. Like, I'm just a kid and I'd do anything for you. So perfectly addicted to that summer paradise with you. Like, they're all song titles. So I wrote in unique ways. And I think that's what made it stand out.
Cool. I used to play in bands myself, Spanish bands. I grew up in the island right now, and that's all I did at one point all I did was play Spanish songs. Into that heavy guitar and whatnot. But I mean, I just imagine, leading into, leaving Connecticut. Leaving Florida, right? Moving into Connecticut. How was that process? How did it get to you? Leave here to here.
All I remember is we had a big U-Haul truck. I was only 3. We got to drive home in the cool U-Haul truck. I thought that was cool, but I was young. I don't remember much about the move. I remember being tough later in life when my biological mom came back around, and being a kid of maybe 5 or 6 at the time, when you have to tell somebody, look, I don't want to go back with you.
Mm-hmm.
That I'll never forget that. It's a very hard moment in life to, because even as a kid, I understood how hard that was going to be, but I didn't feel safe, and I was safe where I was. You couldn't protect me when I was there, and yeah, grandparents came and took me away to get me to a safe place, but I wasn't safe when I was there, and that's how I felt, and I feel bad even talking about it. But now we're in a really good place. My biological mother is back in my life. And it wasn't until maybe a year and a half before I got married, I got a phone call. I didn't recognize the number, and I picked up the phone call, and it happened to be her, and she was surprised that I answered, and we talked, and we're in a great place. My kids love her, and I should. I'm glad she's back in my life. So I'm very appreciative that we went a long time not being with each other, and as much as that sucks, it was I think it was needed to get me to be who I am today. So I think where I am now, everything's lined up the way it's supposed to.
And how was it growing up without your mom, right? Without your mother and your life, and having gone through all those things and moving from Florida to where you're at now? How was that transition for you? I know you said you were young, right? You were young, but going to middle school, going to elementary, going to high school, how was that? How was that for you?
I mean, I think it went a lot smoother than you would think. I guess I think I got to a point where I didn't even think about it. I kind of just erased everything else. Um, I surprised I'm not doing it more right now. Actually, I went normally when I'm sitting still in these settings, I do a lot of like facial tics, but I've always had like a Tourette or a facial tic or the when I was in middle school, I don't know, I would literally just be like, ah, my arm would just freaking
Oh,
go. The worst Tourette. But like I found ways to overcome it, and I don't know why I did that, but I did. So people weren't thrilled with that. I was kind of the kid that got made fun of a lot. It wasn't until high school that I really started fitting in with people, um, and that was around the time when I just came out of my shell. Um, I I just had to be me because there was me right now. I am how you have met me is how I am, how I've always wanted to be. That's the real me. I'm silly. I'm an idiot at times. I want to have fun and I can be embarrassing. Yeah, whatever. It's and that's who I am. And I think a lot of me growing up was afraid to show that even to people like I love, like my wife, like I for the longest time, like I couldn't just be myself around people how I wanted to be because of how much I was judged as a kid, and it sucked. And that was, I think, the most depressing and the hardest things to get through. Wrestling really was the thing that made it so I could be this character, but this character isn't a character. This character is who I am, and because I'm portraying it as a character, it was acceptable. People started to accept it. There was only a small handful of people who saw me like this outside of wrestling, and it's great that I can just this is me every single day in my life now. So I'm just myself every day, and it's
so
good.
so your gimmick or your character, the character your person personify has become an extension of you, who you are, right? That's what I've always said, stated, or what I've always heard, that the most recognized or the most over character or gimmick that person carries is just an exaggeration of who they are. And I see
So,
that, from our first time that we met each other, which was back in 21, I believe, December, which he was wrestling for BCW, at the studio. I remember that was my first time
I
seeing
like
you.
that studio. It was cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing you at the
I like.
studio. I was really running around because I didn't really deal with the talent themselves. I did, but it wasn't as much as Eric did at that point. Because Eric was he was the guy that was running, the guy who was doing the booking, the guy that producing everything. So I just he was we were partners and whatnot. And now that he had to do some things, he's no longer with us. So I'm in front of the company now, and I'm getting to talk to everybody, get to know everybody, and I'm getting to be involved in that essence. But I know how difficult it can be, trying to live up to something, right? Our own bar, I guess how we could say it. It's difficult, and trying to recognize that. And but I'm glad to hear that from you that you're able to now enjoy yourself
Yeah.
and work with yourself and involve everything that you do in your personal life within the wrestling, right? And I just sometimes wonder because my wife goes crazy sometimes. She sometimes asks me if I'm in character or not. So, how else your wife deals with it?
I am an idiot. Oh, I can't stress that enough. I drive her crazy. I really, really do. Um, we are like two ships passing in the night. I don't see her as much as I'd like. I think one of the things that is the best about our relationship is while we don't get to hang out as much as I'd like, because she works crazy hours, I work crazy hours. Um, I, I'm in character around her all the time. I just have fun, and it drives her nuts sometimes. But I mean, the fact that we can do our own things. She does stuff that I think is stupid. She watches shows that I think are the stupidest shows I've ever seen in my life. We like completely opposite things. You know, we got two great kids, and we both parent them our own ways. She's strict. I am not. So
It
she's
happens.
over strict, and
It
I'm
happens.
under strict by a lot. Uh,
It happens.
but I think the biggest thing that drives her crazy is like, hey, this is a serious situation. What are we gonna do? And I'm just like, what can we do? Whatever, just let it happen. We'll figure it out. So,
Yeah, no, it's. But like I said, that's one thing I've known about you is having that positive mindset all the time, and I get to, and I see that more now talking to you, and especially when you like getting yourself mentally prepared, to get into that ring. And whatever else you do in life, is that preparation in life. Even when you were going on tour, right? It was that mentality that we had to have. But what is it? How involved are you? I know that you have kids, right? What they think about daddy being a wrestler?
they love it. They do. My son, I think more so than my daughter, because he's got more patience. Um, but I see her staring at me through the door, like, um, but they do. They love it. They have a good time when they go out there. They have the guys that they like. They have the guys that they don't like, and that's great. Whenever I can take them to the shows, I do. Um, or my mom or some family member can bring them. But yeah, no, they enjoy it.
I'm glad.
They don't have
But
a choice. It makes me happy. And,
have you ever thought about
I go out.
Have you ever thought about moving, involving your music career, music in your wrestling?
I was gonna write my own theme song, but then I was talking to one guy, and it was too late. I think because he was like, "Listen, it's not a bad idea." And sometimes when I make my highlight videos, I will put like one of my songs in the background. Uh, but he's like, "Nah." He's like, "Your music hits and people know it's you." He's like, "You change it now." It's like, ah. So I'm like, "No, I agree with that." My music hits and people know it's me, so it's
No, I hear you. I hear
fine.
you. It's always a decision that we have to take, right? Um,
I do want to write more music, very bad. I was just talking to my bass player like yesterday. He came into my job to get fish, and I was like, "We got to get together. I'd love to." It's just we're both all so busy doing our own things. We'll come around. I'll write some more. I really want to write some more. It's just finding the time. I finally found my guitar. I couldn't find it forever, but so now I
Really?
found it, so we're good.
Yeah.
It was
It's just like me. Like I said, the last time that I actually played my guitar was 4 years ago, and when I've had it for a while, and I had put it away, and I finally saw it. I was like, I need to clean it up. I need to clean it up, and I missed it, because it's just like that. After we do things in our lives that we stop doing, we tend to miss it, right? We tend to miss it, and so tell me really about what you're looking up to. What's next for Alan Compass? Before anything else, when did you move from Australia down here?
so the greatest backstory ever. So the greatest backstory. I told someone I screwed over an entire group today. It was great. They were so everyone was like, "Oh, Alan Compass is awesome," and it was really just I just liked Steve Irwin growing up. Like I'll never forget. Um, this is the dumbest thing ever, but it's the core memory in my brain is watching Steve Irwin in the middle of the night. Me and a buddy were watching together, and in Australia they call those little boats, they call them dinghies, and and Steve's wife's name is Terry. Okay, so now that I've painted the picture for you, immature 18-year-old Alan is watching Steve Irwin yell multiple times, "Look at the size of that shark compared to Terry's dinghy," and I almost choked to death on orange soda. I always liked Australia. I don't know how I got into it as far as like voices. I do tons of voices growing up. Like well, Comedy Frog here. I could do all the Muppets. I could do there's a great Australian one, and I just loved it. And I had people believing I was Australian for a while, so I just rolled with it. It was just another layer, you know. And recently, I was in a group chat that I blew everybody's mind, and now they don't know if I'm Australian or not all over again because they're like, "Oh, this guy needs an Academy Award if that was really selling. That was real." And I go, "I deserve an Academy Award." And I wrote this little backstory for myself. I go, "Born in Australia, moved to the Americas before the age of 1, only to get American citizenship my whole life, and then take on a fake Australian persona." And everyone's like, "Wait, what? Is that what happened?" So the entire chat is like, "Did he really like double swerve everybody?" And they have no idea. So it's great.
Hey,
This is me having fun.
like the most memorable thing that like I remember was on one of our shows, um, the Chaos show, which was in October of last year, where you took out the trap and everything else, and you decided to trap.
Stupid as I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and when you did the roll too, you're doing the crocodile roll and all that, and
Yep.
it's great to see that, especially how the fans react, right? And
Yeah.
the most funniest part was that of that show was when you trapped one of your fellow
Ding
your
ding.
opponent, right?
What are the luchadors?
Yeah,
It's stuff like that more than anything. Like it's just giving the fans a moment that they're gonna remember. You know, I didn't have to do some sort of crazy thing off the top rope or put my life on the line. I will in that ring if I need to. You know, I love this. You know, I've worked through plenty of injuries. Like I just had a great match where I went in super injured and I knew my opponent would keep me safe, so it was okay. We did a lot of crazy stuff that I don't normally do, but I trusted him. Um, and I think that's a lot of things that people don't see on the other side of wrestling is like me. It was me and Sylvain Australian Shares match, and that guy's one of my best friends in the world. Hate each other out in the ring, you know what I mean? But like I knew that we could go out there and tear the house down and tear each other apart, but I knew I'd be safe with everything we were gonna do.
now that you got
So it's
into it,
about giving the fans a moment.
you got into it very very quickly. Before we proceed moving forward. How is it important for you to be safe in that room? Because it's like your opponent's life is in your hands, and your life is in his hands as
Yeah.
well. Even though people don't see it as much as that, but I know how dangerous it could be in that ring, and how we need to be
Yeah.
safe.
I was doing a move for a while that I called the Outback Smash, and it's not a crazy move, but it was my finisher up until a few months ago. Um, I had like some rookies and stuff like, oh yeah, we'll do training matches. Like, oh, I'll take that. I was like, no, we'll figure out a different finish. I was like, if you've never taken it, you're not familiar with it. No, like, it's more important like just to protect each other out there. I know a lot of people like someone's like, oh, are you cool if I give you a pile driver? And I'm like, no, my neck is kind of screwed up, so I prefer not. He's like, all right, can we do this instead? Absolutely, sure. Um, and I'm the same way. Like, I'm not gonna take something that I feel like is gonna hurt me if I can't protect myself the right way. And I wouldn't expect anyone to take anything from me if they're uncomfortable or I personally feel like it may be a risk in some way to them. So I like to talk everything out before we go in there and just because our safety is number one. We got to keep each other safe.
What was your scariest moment in that ring though?
Um, two practice moments. Live has been really good. I guess live, the only real mishap was I was facing one guy and he called the German suplex and it was fine, but I'd never taken the like release German. I didn't know that's what we were doing, so I braced for it like a regular German and I popped a rib out of place. Um, but that and also live, I guess I cracked my tailbone. We had a match where you'd never know anything went wrong on it, but so much went wrong on it because all of our spots relied on what these managers were going to do, and they just didn't do any of them. So I was like, okay, I go, we're gonna do this now. Okay, we're gonna do that now, and I was like, I guess we're doing a new finish because that didn't work. The ref just stopped counting. I don't have a reason for it. It just he goes, what do you mean the ref stopped counting? I'm like, I don't know. So I called the spot on the outside to kind of give like this moment, and my opponent knew how to protect me, but I didn't. Um, I'm so used to falling a certain way. I called a scoop slam on the outside, uh, and he went to go place me down so that my feet would hit first and it impact wouldn't be as bad. But I readjusted so I could take a bump how I normally would, and I like cracked my tailbone. But those are like the two big things in a match. I work around shit all the time, but the two biggest injuries were both in practice. One, I was working with a brand new guy fairly recently, which is the injury that I'm currently getting over. I feel good. I told Paul the other day, I finally feel like I can work in there without working around an injury. I took a simple suplex, which turned into a neck breaker because the guy didn't drop. Tall dude, taller than me, and I was like, "Oh my god, buddy! I like suplex, bro. Just snap me, go!" Like I went and he didn't, so my neck like, that was bad. Um, I really didn't tell anyone this going into it. I really thought that I had spinal cord injury or something. I thought I was going to have this match with Sylvan, and then if I wasn't okay, have a retirement match. I really didn't. I thought I was messed up bad for a few months. I'm finally better. It was scary. And then the other one is an injury from my second day in wrestling that still haunts me to this day every now. It's when it gets really cold, it bothers me. It's weird. I like tore something in my arm. Big guy landed on me. We're doing a simple move like a sunset flip. He just went down before I was even over him. So that's what
Wow.
happens. I mean, it's not it's not the safest business. So now there's certain moves that I'm like, listen, sunset flip doesn't seem like a tough move, but like if you're working with someone who doesn't know it, we were all rookies. We were all rookies at the time, so it's like I'm mad. Um, he went before I pulled him, So it's things happen, and now I just try my best to protect myself and protect my opponent because they got a livelihood, and so do I. So
So next for Alan Compass?
I have a lot of goals. Um, I started this game. I started the game of pro wrestling a little later than I wanted to, but I am in great shape. I feel great. I've been reaching out to a lot of places, but I like to do it my own way. I've turned down more places than you can imagine. I could wrestle on Wrestling Open if I wanted to. That's a great place. I just can't justify it with everything else I have. I have to provide for my family. I can't get there as often as of a commitment that I would need to make to be on a show that big. So I'm doing things my way. I have reached out to other companies that I think will help me elevate me, get my name out there in a different way. I'm traveling. I'm doing stuff with the AIWF. We're going down south again. Um, I landed a really big match. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about, so I won't say anything. But like, I've landed some really big matches. I'm willing to put more into myself. I've talked to some promoters. I said, "Hey, here's some matches I want. Here's some things I'd really like to do." That look, if money comes out of my pocket, I don't care. I want to do what I can to elevate myself to the next level. If I'm working with a name, I don't care if it's win, lose, draw. Like I just worked with a name, and now I have that on my resume, and I could send out and be like, "All right, cool, that's a great match." Because never have I been afraid to lose a match. Because it like you go out there and you lose, you could still look really strong. You just got to know how to do it, how to make yourself look great, get over the things you want to get over, um, and just keep having as much fun as I can um, for as long as I can. I love all the people. I can't wait. I'm on a show later tonight, and I'm more excited about seeing everybody than I am about being in the ring. Like for this particular, like I'm very excited to see everybody.
That's
So
awesome. So what do you
yeah,
tell? What will you tell your fellow friends or your fans, right? That either are going through a rough moment in life, are going through this rough period, and how to reflecting on your life, right, on your situation. I know we didn't really get much into it, but reflecting on your life, and your careers and what you've chosen, and want to get into business, and they want to do music, they want to do anything else. What will be your words of motivation for those that are watching this podcast, this episode?
I would tell everybody that look, you got no matter what it is, and I know it might be really hard at times, financially or emotionally or with other things you might have going on. But if you can find anything that makes you happy, you gotta do it. You gotta give yourself something, no matter what. Don't be afraid. Like, I want to do stuff with my kids every single day, but I can't. I gotta do something for me. As much as I love them, I'd lose my mind if I had nothing else. You know what I mean? Like, they're my everything, but at the same time, like, this is this is my this is my everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, never, you're going to find, pro wrestling. I think is the best example. In no matter in anything you do, you're going to find people that are there for you every step of the way, who will be your best friends. I've met some of the best people in pro wrestling, and I have met some of the worst people I've ever met in my life in pro wrestling. You got to find the right people, kick out the negative, just do what makes you happy. Find that group of friends, as big or small as it might be, and just go have fun because it's changed my life. It's just to be able to go out there and have fun and have moments for myself that I'll never forget. I will never forget going. I don't come. I've come off the top rope 3 times now. One because it was a pay-per-view. One because it meant the world to me. I won the Hercules Hernandez Memorial Cup. Like, give people moments. It's you gotta just have fun and do whether it's music, wrestling, something else. Just try is all I can really say. Is just try, because you kick yourself. Like my wife told me, you will kick yourself if you don't give it your shot. I don't know where I'd be right now, what I'd be doing, what other interests I might have. I can't imagine a life without wrestling right now. So it was the best decision.
That's awesome. That's good to know. So where can people find you online? Where can they find you?
Primarily Instagram and Facebook under Alan Compass are where I do mostly everything. I have some other stuff that I don't really use that well. I mean, every now and then I'll post a TikTok video of something cool from a match, but I'm not great with a lot of the social medias. I do my best. So I'm just the other thing I'm trying to learn and get better at. So
I know you have to get ready to go because we have a show. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking your time with us and then talking about your life and then getting to know that person behind Alan Compass, the one that we know growing up. And I appreciate your time, Ryan. I appreciate everything that you said. And we're here to motivate others. We're here to inspire others, you know, that little things that we know that we went through, right? Who knows how other people, you know, other people are going through it as well. Other people are going through it as well, you know, and it's important for those to know that there's many others that went through the same that you're going through, right? They went through, and we've been in the same shoes, and that's the reason why I wanted to invite you to this podcast, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you for telling us a story, and from childhood into now, and I think you're awesome, man. I appreciate it. Everything, and
I appreciate you having me,
and thank you for telling us your story. And we'll talk soon. Well, thank you for everything, and I hope, and good luck on your match. Good luck on your match.
Thank you.
And where is your match tonight, by the way?
I am in Bristol, I believe. This is the other fun thing about Alan Compass. I don't like to drive at night, so if if I know it the night I'm not driving, I have no idea where I am. I'm pretty positive it's Bristol.
Okay.
Pretty positive.
So they fans.
I'm like, I just know I have to be there.
So your fans can connect with you through online
at night, and
right. I hear you. I hear you, and it's all about the age. You know how it is. We're growing up. We're growing, so visions tend to lack. But thank you. You'll find Alan Compass on his socials, right? On both Instagram and Facebook on the Alan Compass. And I'll thank you once again for everything, and good luck on your match, and hopefully all your goals are met, and we help you along your way to meet your goals as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I look forward to seeing you soon.
I look forward to seeing you soon.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Thank you guys for joining us on this podcast, Breaking Your Silence. This is Louis LeBoy. Thank you for everything. We have a great episode coming up as well. Just subscribe, comment, like, so that we could continue pushing forward, and inspiring others. Thank you for everything. I appreciate you all. Have a good night. Have a good day.